Well, welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of The Human Side of Marketing. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host of the most, Kurt Stockwell. Hello, Kurt.
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Good, man. Looks like we're out in the barn today.
Yeah, I'm trying a new green screen. I can't figure out something. The image that I had last time, it was like reversed, and I don't know. I mean,
keeping us guessing, man. It's all good.
Technology, right?
It's magic. It's
yeah,
magic.
Right.
Ooh,
I need to figure out the magic.
Well, speaking of magic, we're gonna figure out the magic right here in this episode because we're talking about the human side of magic.
The human side of magic.
Of magic?
Yeah.
What do you mean by magic, Kurt? That's very mysterious.
Well, I could go with a Chris Angel kind of joke here, but I'll leave that alone. So the human side of magic. Okay, there's a quote that you know that I like Seth Godin, and
I like Seth Godin.
Yeah, we both like Seth Godin. Many people in the whole marketing world, if you're paying attention at all to those who are influencers in marketing, you've probably heard of Seth Godin. Yep. Seth Godin has a quote that has been kind of haunting me for a couple years now, and the quote is this: "People do not buy goods and services; they buy relations, stories, and magic." And I would agree. I do agree with this quote. People buy on emotion. We've talked about that before. We talked about the problem that people have. There's the external problem, and most businesses sell to the external problem, but the internal emotions about why they're buying are the real reasons that people are buying. So how do you get connection with people on an internal level, on that emotional level? And so I would agree that people are not really buying goods and services. Ultimately, they're buying relations, stories. We talked about the story, creating a story about the customer's journey or about how your product fits into your customer's story. So we talked about that, but there's that little magic piece there that has always kind of haunted me. And I'm like, Seth's onto something here with this magic piece, but I don't really know what he means by magic. And I think over the last, actually probably about 6 months or so, as I've been really diving into this whole story brand concept of helping companies create good marketing copy, whether that's on their website or in print or wherever, or even just the words that they say. We talked about the whole idea of, what do you say when people ask, what do you do? And so the words that you use in your marketing, I've started to see little elements of magic in helping customers work through their marketing. And even in our own marketing at Well-Dressed Walrus, I've seen these little moments where it's almost magical. And I think what Seth Godin is talking about here and when it relates to magic is it has a lot to do with empathy. And I think that's really the core or the foundation of what that magic is. And I think everybody listening could think back to a time where they had a really great connection with a customer, and there was some unexpected amount of connection with this customer, and you just felt like, man, this is why I do what I do, helping people like this solve their problem. This is what gets me out of bed in the morning. This is what I just love helping people do, fill in the blank. And sometimes working with customers, it can feel like a drag. You're helping them, find the solution, but it's a struggle the entire time. And then other times it's just like, man, that relationship with this customer and the journey that we had was so magical. And so how do we tap into that more in our relationships with our customers? I think it starts with a message that really is full of empathy.
Yeah. I was going to say real quick too, before you go that direction, I was just wondering, like, when you describe it that way, it's great, because I have always related to the word of magic, kind of like a cliche or a nice word image thing. But what does that actually look like? And when you describe those moments where you're like, oh, this is why I do what I do. And there was a spark, there was a thing that happened in the moment. And that's a great way to describe that is magic, because it's not the relationship's there, the story's there, but it's that other thing, that magic thing that people go, oh, I'm so glad I found you. And you're the best money I've spent.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, like they're paying for magic
Yeah.
that spark that happened, right? Like,
Yeah. And I know you've talked about this many times in what you do in the whole marketing space is people want to work with your unique you, right? I mean, I'm not saying it as well as you say it, but ultimately the thing that differentiates you from your competition is you.
yeah, right.
Right.
Yep.
You're delivering this. And so it makes the delivery of this thing or this solution or whatever you're doing in the marketing sphere or in the business world, it makes it unique because it's you. Mm-hmm. And many times where you find your real passion is when you figure out, okay, the way that I deliver this one thing is different than my competitor or even different than my coworker, but it's uniquely me. Yeah. And you start to find the people who want to work with a person that's unique like you. So how do we really the conversation that we need to have now is, what do we need to do in our marketing messaging to find those people who we have that really tribal connection with? And when I say kind of that tribal connection, we've talked many times before about, and it's a Seth Godin thing, tribes. Right, when you find your people, they get you and you get them. And that's where you start seeing that magic happen over and over and over. And I think what we really all want is we want those magical times with our clients to happen more often than not, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want that just to happen once a year or once a quarter. We want that happening on a regular basis. Now, can it happen every single customer? No, probably not. But how can we make that happen more? And I'm convinced it has to do with attracting the right people.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, walk me through that. How do we attract the right people then? Because I mean, well, there are two parts to this, and you already set the first part up beautifully, which is, I think you have to, for you to create magic for the right people, you have to get clear about you doing you. Like you do the things that only you can create the spark with.
Right.
And bring that, because there are a lot of people in business and in marketing and in service and all the things they sell where they're not showing up as them, and it's just a commodity. It's a thing that any other person could do, and there is no spark, so there is no magic, and that's because the person selling it didn't bring themselves to it.
Right. Or they're feeling like I'm being stuffed into a mold of how I'm supposed to do this. Yeah. Because my industry says now, to be a successful real estate agent, start with step 1 and go to step 10. Right. And I know you've had a past in real estate, and I'm sure that so many people in real estate, I guess, let me ask you this, Chris, would you say so many people, especially in kind of the real estate field, wash out because they never figure out how they can present how they can do you, how they can do themselves and connect with people?
Yeah. Because I call it doing realtor. They try to do realtor, right? Like they try to do what they think a realtor is supposed to do. And it doesn't matter. You could sell tires, you could sell life insurance, and you're still going to try to do life insurance, do tire sales, do real estate, right? You're just trying to do what you think you're supposed to do in the profession. And then it all looks the same. You always talk about noise. Like it just gets really noisy because everybody's trying to do what they think the profession's supposed to do, and they're missing the magic.
Yeah, that's such a good point to bring up, the whole noise aspect of it, because we talk, how do you rise above the noise in our noisy marketplace right now? Yeah. And I think it's when you figure out how you can be you and attract the right kind of people that you can have these magical moments with over and over, or have that experience over and over rather. So when it comes to empathy, we've talked about the journey that we take a customer through, where the 7 parts of a story, where you're inviting your customer into a story about them, how your product fits into their life. So you have a character who has a problem, and that problem's external. They're feeling it emotionally, internally, and then philosophically, they want to work with somebody who understands them. Okay, so that's where empathy comes in. Yep. You as the authority, you as the guide, you as the one that's kind of taking them by their hand through this journey, you need to have a ton of empathy in your marketing messaging, whether that's coming out of your mouth or whether that's in print or whether that's online. And really what that comes from is a heart of saying, hey, I recognize your problem. We've already been through that. That's just not right that you're dealing with that. Maybe you have dealt with the same problem. Maybe you were selling, a weight loss or healthy living, and you've lost 100 pounds. I mean, that's the perfect example of, hey, I was once there. I was once where you are, and I know what it's like to feel what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take you by the hand, and we can walk on this journey together because I have empathy for you. Now, with whatever widget you're selling, that might not be the case where you were in their shoes, but you can be empathetic to the fact that, hey, maybe you're feeling like you're a little lost in your sales process, and you're not selling as much as you would like, or maybe you're in a sphere of selling, like you said, tires. It doesn't matter if it's this big grandiose thing like the cure for cancer or something.
Right.
Literally tires. Hey, I empathize that you want to feel safe on the road. I have kids too. I've never had a tire blowout, but I've got kids too. And I want my family to be safe. So really what you're saying here is, hey, I realize you're on a journey. Can I walk with you on this journey?
Yeah.
And I see that you're on this journey, and I would just like to earn your trust to help you find a destination, help you find the destination you're looking for, help you find the success that you're looking for. Now, you've got to fill in the narrative yourself about what that means.
Right.
But if you can kind of position yourself in your marketing as like a hand out saying, I recognize your problem. May I walk with you to the solution that I know you're looking for? Because everybody's striving for a personal connection. I was just watching a thing last night about the music industry and how everything's digital, and you can, a whole recording studio's on your laptop now. And I was talking about this recording studio back in like the 70s and 80s, and it was one of the most, prolific, popular recording studios. And the thing that they kept talking about, and it's kind of something that's kind of coming back into the music industry, is a more of a real sound. And it was the reel to reel tape kind of a thing. And I don't want to rabbit trail here, but even in like music, people are like, the digital sound just sounds a little canned. I want something a little bit more raw and real. And so people are like going back to recording on tape, things like that. That's just a really teeny tiny example, but we have such a disconnected world these days because so much is digital. I mean, you and I right now, we're not sitting across from each other face to face. We're, you're at your home and I'm at my office, but we're having a conversation. So how can we, that's not a bad thing, but how can we in the marketplace put ourselves out there in an empathetic way so we can have that personal connection, even though it's not face to face? So in all the industries, like I mentioned, the music industry, the tire industry, the real estate, people are looking for something real that they can kind of hold on to. They're looking for that personal connection.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's the magic. It's the empathy that they have not experienced through any other interaction with maybe a competitor of yours. They are in the industry or in the vertical. They haven't experienced that, and they're going to experience that with you.
I was just talking to, we were doing a show for a client who's actually a mortgage guy out of Portland. And he had a guest on his show who was, I believe, a financial planner or advisor. And the guy just wrote a book called Conversations. And the whole thing was about how do you have just real meaningful conversations. And it was cool because he was talking about like, a lot of places where we sort of mess up is somebody comes into our space and we just jump right in with, okay, so here's what I got. This is what I can sell you. Here's what you need. Yeah. And he was like, he told some great examples for himself. He's like, early on in his career, he walked in and he would always talk to the husband on the phone, and the wife would answer and he'd be like, oh, is the husband there? And she'd be like, yeah, here you go. And then he'd be like, why doesn't the wife like me? And his coach was like, well, because you never ask her how she's doing.
Oh, yeah.
It had actually nothing to do, and this is maybe the point it took me a long time to get here, but it's the point I wanted to make was I feel like sometimes the magic happens with empathy around what it is that I sell and you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes the magic happens outside of that in just humanity. That's why it's the human side of magic, right? We're like, could I just be human? Nordstrom has all sorts of famous folklore around what they've done with they accepted a return of somebody's tires. I heard once, like, oh, right. Somebody brought their tires and can I take these? And I don't know what they did, but somehow they took their tires back Nordstrom's doesn't sell tires. And that had nothing to do with it, but that was a magic moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because they were, to your point, they were with them on their journey. They're like, I get that that's sucky for you, that you had these tires you don't need. Like, we'll take care of it. And they're like, what?
Yeah. People just want to feel heard. They want to feel listened to. They want to feel like you have empathy for them.
Right.
Yeah. You know, we're talking a lot about tires today for some reason.
It's a thing. I don't know.
Maybe there's somebody out there who needs to hear this.
Yes. If you're in the tire industry, then this is for you.
Yeah.
You needed to hear this today.
Yeah. But to go back to your example of that book, you were absolutely right. And that's why when I gave that example of, you know, I see you're on a journey. May I walk with you on this journey? You know, really, I mean, obviously you're not saying those words, but in is
that a script, Kurt? Did you just give us a script?
I'm sure you could use it as a script if you wanted to. But really, that's what you're doing when you're saying, hey, I understand. Can I walk on this journey with you? Rather than, like you said, jumping into a big, huge sales pitch and they don't even know if they trust you yet.
Right.
You know, so that trust is built with, I recognize you have a problem and I have empathy for that. I was thinking about the fact that we are, so much of what we do is online, and that's not a bad thing. And, you know, people are always, there's always a desire to kind of go back to, like, keep it local, the local marketplace or the local family get together, or the keeping things local. And that's big. And, you know, whatever city you're in, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They push that a lot. Well, how can we have that local marketplace feel when we're online? Because some people listening, they're like, my customers are thousands of miles away all the time. There is no local marketplace. But I'm convinced that a local marketplace, or that feel, is wherever your customer feels at home. So if your tribe feels at home working with you online, then that's great. Whether they're 10,000 miles away or right next door, when you have empathy for their problem and you're asking them, like you said, may I walk on this journey with you? Then that makes it, whether they're 10,000 miles away or right next door, that brings it way down to a personal level. And now we're having a relationship, and you have that relationship that's explained through story, and you get those magic moments.
And to your point, I think you could even have, whether it's through the languaging that you do on your website, right? Like, I know you guys walk people through a process to help them sort of clarify their message on their website. Whether it's that or it's videos like you're doing through your show here, right? Like, this show is a way for you to have people get to know you. Some people can feel more connected to you digitally. And you might be thousands of miles away compared to somebody who is local, but they have no connection with, simply because the way that you're being real, or the empathy that you're providing in this type of a format, is more empathy than they're getting in person with somebody locally, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, I think the key is empathy.
Yeah, so much so. I love it. Well, speaking of, the process that you guys walk people through, clarifying their message, how do people reach out to you, work with you?
So you could visit clarifymymarketing.com. You can visit our website at welldressedwalrus.com. If you listen to podcasts, you can listen to The Human Side of Marketing on Stitcher or on iTunes. Just search The Human Side of Marketing.
Perfect.
On Facebook and on Instagram, we are WD Walrus, and connect with us there. There's many ways to connect.
Many ways. I would say, I mean, the best place, if you guys are really looking to, like, take that stuff to the next level, your empathy online to the next level, is go to, clarifymymarketing.com.
Yeah, clarifymymarketing.com. Schedule a time to have a conversation.
Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Good stuff, Kurt. Well, you're always surprising me. Today was magical. Thanks for our magical conversation.
You're welcome.
Until next time, take care. See ya.
All right. Thanks, Chris.